Chapter 337. Land of Kings. It was night, and the heavy Iron King's royal mansion, with its lights and colors, was abuzz with activity. The imperial capital cultivators who passed by the vicinity of the king's mansion instantly knew that it was Wuxia who had returned, and immediately they ran to tell each other, causing the entire imperial capital to boil for a while. For so many years, although the great Tang kingdom had produced many geniuses, there were only two geniuses who could reach the level of Zhao Wuji and Wuxia. They could even predict that as long as these two didn't die, they would definitely become the overlord of the cultivation world in the future. This was an incentive, an exhilarating thing for the entire Great Tang country. In the Great Tang country, Wuxia and Zhao Wuji were legends, role models, and myths. Especially Wuxia, who came from a small, crumbling family, from obscurity, eventually stepping onto the throne of genius step by step. This amazing life inspired many young cultivators. Many youths felt that since Wuxia could become a genius, why couldn't they? Even if they couldn't reach Kangchon's realm, it would still be good to be able to worship in the Heavenly Dao sect, like the geniuses of Kangchon's generation back then, such as Chen Sanshao and Wu Gang. Even though they failed in the orthodox demon battlefield, their strength was still very powerful, and they could rival Outblood stage powerhouses, and in the whole of the Great Tang country, they were all top-notch existences. With this kind of example, the people of the Great Tang country, the pursuit of Wuxia reached its peak, so much so that, after Chen Sanshao announced the news of Kangchon's return, the population of the imperial capital instantly doubled by as much as 5 times. This was still due to the fact that the state lord was worried that the imperial capital wouldn't be able to fit in, thus restricting a portion of the population, or else the number of people would have been even higher. Early on, when this news was spread out, the imperial palace sent word that Chen Sanshao could be allowed to hold a banquet at the imperial capital fighting stadium. As the imperial capital fighting stadium was the largest empty place in the entire imperial capital, so before Wuxia had even arrived, Chen Sanshao had already set up everything in the imperial capital fighting martial arena. When Wuxia returned to the imperial capital on the second day, the imperial capital fighting stadium was already overcrowded. Of course, most people could only stop and watch from afar outside, and only those who possessed invitations could enter the fighting arena and enjoy the banquet with Wuxia. The Genin King has arrived. The 7th Prince of the Great Tang arrives. The Lord of Fendu City has arrived. Even though Wuxia hadn't arrived yet, with the arrival of each of the Great Tang Kingdom's great figures, the banquet immediately entered a climax, and the people watching outside chanted. The entire martial arts arena had a fiery atmosphere. Heio Jushi has arrived. The Zhao family head has arrived. Among these big names who had come to congratulate Wuxia, apart from some of Kangchon's acquaintances, some of the big names of the Dotong Kingdom who had a reputation, and even some people Wuxia didn't know, had also arrived one by one. From this, it could be seen that Kangchon's influence nowadays had already reached its peak in the Great Tang country, and I was afraid that the State Lord would be no better. The State Lord has arrived. With the arrival of the State Lord, the atmosphere of the martial arts arena was at its peak, and at this time, it wasn't good for Wuxia to hide with the crowd anymore, as he personally headed to the entrance of the fighting arena to greet the State Lord. No matter what, the State Lord was his senior, and had a lot of favors for him. This face still had to be given. Congratulations to Senior Brother for advancing to the Outblood stage. With Senior Brother's talent, I'm afraid I'm not even your match today. The State Lord appeared very enthusiastic, even more so than last time. This was because under his divine probing, the hidden powerful force within Kangchon's body had already posed a threat to him, which was enough to show that Kangchon's strength was no less than his. Worthy of being Kangchon's hegemonic blood, the growth rate is also fast. Shocked and at the same time The State Lord also sighed repeatedly. Not only was he glad that he had been far-sighted enough to make good relations with Kang Tia long ago, seeing that the genius who was now famous in the cultivation world hadn't come to personally greet him, his heart burst with joy. Senior brother, please. The increase in strength allowed the present-day Kang Tia to not feel the pressure he used to feel when facing the State Lord, and instead, he was very bland, inviting the State Lord to take a seat. Senior brother, you too please. The State Lord laughed. Kang Tia gave him face, and he wouldn't lose Kang Chon's face. This kind of interaction between people, he was most cautious to know. Right now, Kang Chon's strength was merely comparable to his. But the next time they met, I'm afraid that he wouldn't even be worthy of lifting Kang Chon's shoes. So he treasured the relationship with Kang Tia very much, and wouldn't do anything that would make Kang Tia resentful. No, in the end, the two of them had to enter the martial arts arena together, and those great figures of the Great Tang country who had already arrived earlier, all greeted them one by one, and greeted them. Kang Tia also returned the greetings one by one, in which he saw quite a few acquaintances that made him feel emotional. There was the former lord of Heavy Iron City, Yong Zhenan, as well as Lei Yun's father, King Zhenan, and also Zhou Yunji and Yun Shuiyou couple from Demon Yuan City. In addition, Fengdu City's Heio Jushi and Old Blacksmith, the Zhao family's third elder, Wu Gang's father and son, and so on, all came up one by one and greeted him. Thank you all for coming to support the scene. ... Please sit down, everyone. Kang Tia wasn't too used to such a scene, and after some greetings, he hurriedly invited everyone to sit down. As for himself, he sat at the same table with his grandfather Wang Tiexiong, Chen Sanxiao, the State Lord, and some other people he knew well, and talked to each other. Well, you said you wanted to invite the entire imperial capital. Young master, I've invited the entire Great Tang Kingdom this time. As soon as he sat down, Chen Sanxiao looked at Kang Tia and laughed. Just you are great. Kang Tia sniffed and glared at him. Immediately, a crowd of people at the table all laughed out loud. This was the biggest banquet in the Great Tang country, and none of the participants were the top people in the Great Tang country. From the princes and nobles down to the commoners, all of them were shocked by this banquet. Kang Chon's name was once again a household name in the Great Tang Empire. After some lively banquets, Kang Tia personally sent away each and every one of his acquaintances, and he himself left the Great Tang country a month later, returning to the Heavenly Dao sect, Dark Gold Peak. After Kang Tia returned, he went to the bamboo forest and turned around, not finding a single figure. Only a jade slip left behind by his third senior brother. Junior senior brother, I have crossed the threshold of the tribulation, and I am now heading to the 18th layer of hell. Senior brother, cultivate hard, and look forward to breaking through the 18 layers of hell with senior brother. ... Double quotes. The message from Running Water Current was simple. However, Kang Tia looked puzzled as he took out his third senior brother's communication jade slip and said with a strange face, "Obviously, there is a communication jade slip. Why didn't third senior brother tell me directly?" After thinking about it, he sent a message through the communication jade slip to Rivers of Passing Water, but he couldn't send it out. "Kid, don't bother. The 18 layers of hell is rather special. Unless you are also in it, the communication jade slip is useless." Emperor Don's voice came. "I see." Kang Tia drifted off. Putting away the jade slip, he went back to his master's Elder of Law Enforcement's palace, but he didn't find the Elder of Law Enforcement's figure. Clearly, the Elder of Law Enforcement had gone off on another godly journey somewhere. Afterwards, he headed directly to the Orthodox Demon battlefield, preparing to set off towards the King's Land. The Land of Kings was actually the core of the Orthodox Demon battlefield, and every cultivator who dared to appear here was a strong person, at least at the out-of-body stage cultivation level. Here, Out-of-body stage powerhouses could only be considered cannon fodder. Out-of-body stage King Seal powerhouses could only be considered as a party's overlord. While out-of-body stage King Seal powerhouses were very rare, but every one of them was famous in the cultivation world. Because of this, when Kang Chia destroyed the 3 emperors in one battle, it caused the cultivation world to shake. From this, it could be seen that the status of an out-of-body stage Emperor Sealer in the Land of Kings was almost like an existence that called the wind and the rain, and that the onlookers did not dare to mess with. As for the out-of-body stage invincible powerhouses, they were even rarer. According to the statistics on the surface, there were only 20 of them, and they were the top 10 on the Immortal Exorcism list and the Demon Exorcism list respectively. These 20 people were the pinnacle of existence in the Land of Kings, where they had no enemies and swept across the entire Land of Kings. Brother, are we going directly to the Dawnbreaker Immortal Mansion now? High in the sky, on top of a huge treasure ship, stood 2 figures. It was none other than the duo of Kang Chia and Zijin. The 2 of them, relying on their strong strength, had no qualms about flying directly at high altitude at a very fast speed, and it only took them 3 months to make it to the King's Land. The King's Land was the core of the orthodox devil battlefield, and the spiritual chair was very thick, making it a good place to cultivate. However, there were countless deviled out powerhouses here, so if one did not have absolute strength, not to mention cultivating in this place, one would be lucky to be alive. Not far ahead is the Killing Sea. Karma. Kang Chia suddenly looked down at a sea below and murmured in a low voice. When he came, he had already exchanged a rough map of the King's Land from the contribution hall, so despite being here for the first time, he wasn't unfamiliar with it. The positive demon battlefield was vast and boundless. Not all of it was land. In fact, he was just like the Flood continent. There were all sorts of strange places such as seas, mountains, deserts, and so on. At this moment, underneath the Kang Chia was a blood-red sea, and in the Land of Kings, this sea was known as the Killing Sea. It was said that there was an island on the Killing Sea called the Killing Island. The Killing Island was rich in red diamond blood crystals, and this kind of treasure had a great effect on upgrading the level of the physical body and increasing the strength of the physical body. Therefore, the Killing Island attracted many body refining cultivators from both the righteous and demonic paths, and they engaged in fierce killings at this place, competing for the red diamond blood crystals. Third senior brother once said that the redling blood crystal has a great effect on cultivating the 9-turned Zhuanggong, so I'm looking forward to it very much. Essence flickered in Kang Chon's eyes. Then he said to Zijin, who was beside him, "Opening the dawn-breaking immortal mansion requires 3 keys, and I only have to right now, so it's useless to go there. Not far ahead is the Killing Island. It's rich in a treasure called the red diamond blood crystal. It's very effective in raising the level of the physical body. Let's go and take a look," Kang Chia said, catalyzing the treasure ship, heading towards the Killing Island marked on the map at great speed. Redling blood crystal. Zijin sniffed with some curiosity. He usually seldom checks some information of the cultivation world. Besides cultivation, so he was not as good as Kang Chia in terms of insight. With the existence of this kind of treasure, there should be a lot of strong people on the Killing Island, right? Little Jin said with a face full of excitement. Kang Chia blankly glanced at him. He naturally knew what Little Jin was thinking. This militant, always wanting to fight strong people. Of course, he himself was also a militant. Having already come to the King's Land, sooner or later, there will be a time for you to fight. However, there may not be many strong people on top of the Killing Island, because this red diamond blood crystal is filled with very violent energy, and the amount of red diamond blood crystals that each cultivator can refine is limited, Kang Chia said. From the information he got from the Contribution Palace, he knew that the red diamond blood crystal, too, enhanced the level of the flesh body and the use of heavenly thunder to exercise the flesh body were similar. If there was no absolute strength, it was impossible to withstand it. Like his third senior brother also only refined 10 red diamond blood crystals, then cannot withstand, the second senior brother is stronger, enough to refine 15. Refining this item had nothing to do with cultivation, only the strength of one's own fleshly body, as well as the strength of one's bloodline, could one refine more red diamond blood crystals. Therefore, special bloodline possessors had a great advantage in this regard. However, as far as Kang Tianu, in the history of the cultivation world, the person who had refined the most red diamond blood crystals had only refined 49 of them.